13-14 pass. I'm Common. He's 10-B. We're talking a lot of all-star wrestling. That's what they called it back in the day when I was Vern Gagne. Then he would sell his vitamins during commercial breaks. The Vern Gagne vitamins. You too can be bigger, stronger, can become a pro wrestler. Someone sent this text message that says, the most disturbing stunt I've ever seen was early 2000s WWF. He says Kane. I don't know who Kane is. He said Kane poured gasoline on announcer Jim. I shouldn't laugh.
My gosh.
He poured gasoline on announcer Jim Ross Jr. and lit his back on fire. I think JR had a fire-resistant suit under his clothes, but still terrifying to watch as a 10-year-old. Well, I should say so.
Sounds traumatic.
Well, yeah, if you're a 10-year-old. This one says, no shame in loving pro wrestling even as an adult. It's all for entertainment. Movies and TV, same idea. You want to lose yourself. But that's what I said. I mean, if you like it, for me, it's just not. I'd rather watch The Wizard of Oz, but everybody gets their kicks on Route 66. And then somebody reminded me about Nick Bockwinkel, and it's, for me, it might be the best quote in the history of quotes for sports, if you consider wrestling a sport, and I do. Because if you're choking somebody, the ref counts to 5. And then what Bockwinkel would do is he would choke till the referee reached 4, and then he'd let go of the guy's neck. And Nick would say, it's cheating to choke a opponent for 5 seconds, but it's not for 4. Because if you got to 4 and let go, they would let you continue. So you choke the guy for 5 seconds, and then, thumbs on the windpipe, and the guy's gasping for air. His face is turning blue, right? And then all of a sudden, when the referee would go 4, he would let go. And there the guy go, gasping for breath, and then all of a sudden he'd go back to putting the chokehold on him, and he would do it again for another 4 seconds until it'd be over. And then I remember tag team wrestling was as good as it'd get. Do they still do tag team now?
Oh, I'm assuming they do, yeah.
My favorite tag team partnership of all time was Handsome Harley Race and Pretty Boy Larry Hennig. Now, Larry then went on to become Larry the Axe Hennig. And then his son, didn't he have a son?
Kurt Hennig.
And didn't Kurt, he died, right?
Yes.
And wasn't it tragic circumstances? I don't remember the story.
I don't remember him coming in here to hang out with the Power Trip Morning Show. And I've said this before on the air, but his son and I were on the same football team when I was in 6th grade. We were in the same backfield together. We were the 2 running backs. So we were
like kicking Zonka.
Yeah, so playing football with, Mr. They called him Mr. Perfect was his name.
Right.
When I was watching wrestling, It was Mr. Perfect. So to watch like a guy that you when you watched play wrestling and all of a sudden he's dad on the sideline over there was
they had a great running back duo of the Packers back in their heyday in the 60s. They had Paul Hornung and Jim Taylor. Were you more like Paul Hornung or Jim Taylor of that
I don't know who those two are, but...
Oh, they were both really, really good. And I just did a quick Google thing, and it says...
Yeah, he was found dead in a hotel room.
Yeah.
At the age of 44.
Right. It says Handsome Harley Race and Pretty Boy Larry Hennig were one of the most legendary and dominant tag teams in professional wrestling during the 60s. Known for their rugged, rule-breaking style. No wonder I liked them. Rules are made to be broken, Tenneby. It's a great line from a Steely Dan song. Josie. And it says, we lay down the law and break them when Josie comes home. We lay the laws down, but then we break the laws. It says, known for their rugged, rule-breaking style, they formed a lifelong friendship after pairing up in the AWA and went on to capture the AWA World Tag Team Championship 3 times. The duo clicked instantly when brought together by Vern Gagne. On January 20, 1965, the young duo, Race was just 22, Larry Hennig 29, they shocked the wrestling world by defeating the veteran powerhouse team of Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher to win the first AWA World Tag Team Championship. They quickly became the youngest tag champions in AWA history at that time. Over the next few years, they engaged in brutal, legendary feuds with the Crusher, Dick the Bruiser, and Vern Gagne. Legendary, man. I loved him. They were the bad guys. I think they might have been the ones that were doing they had the tongue depressors thing in his back of his trunks. It was gouging the guy's eyes out. I saw it, man. I witnessed it with my own eyes. It's crazy stuff they used to do back then.
So I didn't even know until right now, after I did a search of Kurt Hennig, that his son that I was in the backfield with was also a wrestler. I did not know that. I had lost touch with him after 6th grade.
So what's
he was a professional wrestler in the WWE from 2007 to 2020 under the ring names Curtis Axel and Michael McGillicuddy.
Like father, like son.
How about that?
Well, Larry the Axe, so after he got out of the tag team thing, they all had to have a special hold or some kind of so Dr. X was the figure 4 leg lock. Have you ever put anybody into a figure 4 leg lock, Tenneby? We used to do it as kids. It literally is the most painful. If you're not the perpetrator, but you're the guy getting the figure 4 leg lock, it's excruciating pain. It's, you have to cry uncle. There's no way, there's nobody that can undergo that. And we had Baron von Raschke. He was the claw guy. He would take his hand. He would take his left hand and put it on his wrist, and he'd put his right hand in a claw, and then he would grab you by the face or the stomach, and it was over for you. The sleeper hold by Vern Gagne. And then Larry the Axe Hennig, he would use his forearm and his elbow as an axe. He'd bounce you off the ropes. And then, of course, you'd come stumbling back right at him, and he would hit you like this with his forearm and his elbow. And it would drop you like a 3-foot putt, as the superstar used to say, just boom, drop you just like that. So those were the days. I did enjoy it. I will firmly admit that I do. So, and it's coming. WWE Wrestling is coming to U.S. Bank Stadium this year, and it's also coming to the White House. They're going to have it on the White House lawn. I'm not making that up. It sounds like I am. Who would have ever thunk it? Who would have ever thunk that it would be at the White House? But it's going to be on the White House lawn sometime this summer, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that goes. Looks like Tenneby, you sent out one of those group texts.
Yep.
Sounds like everybody's in for the semifinal match, huh? Oh my God. Did everybody answer in the positive so far? I think I saw that.
Everyone's in. We've locked it in. So your semifinal match, you and Corey Coe versus Zach Huberson and Kevin Fallness, will take place Friday, June 12th at 1:30. Wow. The other semifinal is going to depend on who wins the 4-5 matchup, which is Creasel and Meat Sauce versus Max and Parker.
And when is that?
That's a week from tomorrow, so next Thursday.
Okay.
Depending on who wins, we'll play the match either the week before your June 12th match, or we'll play it the week after.
All right.
We got some busy schedules on that group.
Yeah, I get how that goes. Especially Creasel. He's everywhere. He was when we did the Power Trip more. It used to be the Common Man Golf Opener. It's now the Power Trip Golf Opener now, as you know. Creasel was up there and did a one of the inspirational speeches, and I said how to go. They were like putty in his hands. He's really good at it. Creasel's done a great job doing that. So he did that up there. So that's probably it. He's locked in everywhere with speeches. So inspiring people, young and old alike, male, female, young kids, and everything. So yeah, you're on social. Were JG and Nordo getting ripped by? I think Fallness and Zach proved obviously to be a very formidable team, but I think it surprised most people that it was that big of a rout. I mean, I was surprised they won. I was kind of shocked by the margin they won.
Well, no one ever saw that coming.
Yeah. And what was the reaction by the Rubes? Were they?
I think, as weird as it sounds, I think people were all about Fallness and Halverson winning. I think they'd like to see some new blood up there, and we haven't had a lot of big upsets in the Program Passer Invitational in the past. It's usually been very chalky. So that might have been the biggest, and heck, if they can pull off the next one.
Well, yeah, if they pull off the next. Well, they were very self-deprecating too, and they were very humble about it. They really were. I mean, at the end, Fallness threw in a few, but Fallness deserved to throw back some cheap shot. I mean, when you're compared with
He's been here in the must.
Yeah, I mean,
for 5 years.
I can see why you finally say, well, what do you what do you think of the Lions now? What do you think of Kevin Fallis now? Now, what do you think?
Yeah, so, we can't compare him to Muss anymore.
There's no question.
Now we got to find a new bit to make fun of him about.
So we'll find something. You know that. So congratulations. Let's take another break. As we do, my pals at BigDeck.com, and they built me a Big Deck. .com. It's great. You'll like it too. They can do it for you, but they bring us our. Keyword for our National Cash Contest, 10 to beat. You have the honors.
Yeah, the fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. Enter the keyword RICH at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. Keyword is RICH. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
The Common Man.
Well, it's pedestrian. There's zero flow. There's not anything that's even kind of exciting or interesting.
Weekdays at noon.
I owe Willow River a commercial there. I'm sorry about that. I had an allergy eye attack, and I forgot I was supposed to even do an ad. Elite Lawn Care, they'll handle that for you. Ongoing plant bed maintenance. They're conducting plant bed maintenance at my house as we speak. They'll do yard cleanup. They'll do mowing, holiday lighting, irrigation systems. As I mentioned, they removed trees from my home that needed to be removed. They were dead and dying. They've planted a nice little clump with some plants around it, laid down some mulch. They've done it all for me, and I appreciate all their hard work. That's Willow River Company, or outdoor living experts. Go to willowrivercompany.com. willowrivercompany.com. Do you have seasonal allergies tend to be or not?
Very minor.
Oh, minor. Just like my eyes will start to water so bad, start to itch so bad. My wife found some drops for me, but I don't have them with me today, which is a mistake. Someone just said, how about the wrestler that died live on pay-per-view attempting to plummet down to the ring from the rafters? I can't remember his name, so I just Googled wrestler who died. His name was Owen Hart of the Hart Wrestling family. He died May 23rd, 1999, during his entrance from the rafters of Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. The equipment that was lowering him to the ring malfunctioned, and he fell to his death in front of a live audience and live on pay-per-view during WWF's Over the Edge event. And I vaguely remember that event and talking about it back in 1999. And my guess is it doesn't say here in the Wikipedia page exactly, and maybe toward the end where they always do death, exactly what the malfunction was, if it was one of those things that could be prevented. Well, it says he performed the stunt a few times before. His widow, Martha, had suggested that by moving around to get comfortable with both harness and his cape on, he unintentionally triggered an early release. Television viewers did not see the incident. During the fall, a pre-taped vignette was being shown on the pay-per-view broadcast, as well as on the monitors in the darkened arena. Afterward, while Hart was being worked on by medical personnel inside the ring, the live events broadcast showed only the audience. Jim Ross, the guy that got started on fire, right, repeatedly told those watching live on pay-per-view what had transpired was not a wrestling angle or a storyline, that Hart was hurt badly, emphasizing the seriousness of the situation. He was transported to the Truman Medical Center in Kansas City. Several attempts to revive him were made. He died due to his injuries. The cause of death was later revealed to be internal bleeding from blunt force trauma. The impact severed his aorta, resulting in Hart bleeding to death just minutes later, and he was 34 years old. So, I think I've recanted this tale before. You remember the guitar player Ted Nugent? He was at his peak of his career back in the mid to late 70s, and back in my heyday, Ashbury days, we were big. Ted Nugent guys, guitar-driven rock and roll, right? And we went down to see him at the Civic Center. In his entrance, it was unbelievable. All of a sudden, you see him. He swings he's got his guitar around his back. He comes down on a big rope like it's a vine from the top of the rafters of the Civic Center, and then, drops off it on stage and starts playing guitar. He comes out of nowhere. The lights come on, the band's on the stage. All of a sudden, you see him come swinging down from the top of the rafters, and he jumps off the rope and starts playing guitar. Stunning entrance, you talk about the rock and rollers. It was pretty cool. But, this is not a good one with the Hart character. Says Vince McMahon in the WWF drew controversy when the company chose to continue the pay-per-view event after Jim Ross announced Owen Hart's death on the live broadcast. Yeah, I would say that's where you kind of call it off at that point, don't you? Instead of going on. I mean,
the show must go on.
I was going to say there are people that say the show must go on, but well, Tennessee, look, let's say, for instance, right now I keeled over from a heart attack.
Yeah.
Would you just walk in here and say, hey, we'll give Common a quick segment? We'll do the Hey Gone But Not Forgotten, do a Dark Star Memorial for him, but then we're going to have to just go on, and we're going to have, Warren from St. Paul wants to talk about the Vikings, and, we'd
give you like 2 minutes.
Yeah. How about just...
we'd honor you with dead air.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there. Dead air. That's funny stuff, Tenna. Yeah, maybe you would do that. I suppose you could.
No, I think we'd shut her down.
Yeah. I'm
sure there's like a Fox Sports feed we can take or something.
This one says, I remember WWE wrestler Darren Drozdoff got paralyzed. A running power bomb went wrong. He landed on his head, and he fractured 2 vertebrae. Yikes. That wrestling can be a little tougher than I think. Here's one that says, Mr. Perfect had a daughter who hung out with my sister growing up. I was really young, and he came to our house to pick up his daughter. His SUV was in our driveway. I walked up to see who was in it. He rolled down the window. My jaw dropped. I yelled in my house, Mom, Dad, Mr. Perfect's in our driveway. Here's another one that says, when I was about 10 years old, a new house was being built across the alley from me in South Minneapolis. The guy building the house was Blackjack Lanza. Larry the Axe also stopped by. Blackjack let me ask him wrestling questions for hours. So your neighbor is suddenly Blackjack Lanza, the guy you used to watch on TV wrestle all the time. So, yeah, well, that's the thing. Somebody else wrote one. I love this one. He says, it's the old say it isn't so, Joe. Say it isn't so. Oh, by the way, we're all about accuracy here. Tennessee, it's not WWE at the White House. It's UFC. MMA fighting is going to be held there. MMA fighting. I got the two confused. Sorry about that. Where was the one? I'm getting a lot. People like this wrestling stuff. Maybe we should start doing a wrestling segment every week.
Should have a weekend show.
That might not be a bad idea. You could host it.
I'm good.
You're good. So where did somebody said this is so funny. I love this. Oh, here it is. He goes, we were walking around the back of the auditorium. The garage door went up, and there's a car with Vern and Crusher in it together. We were devastated because they were supposed to be mortal enemies, right? As a kid, you think they hate each other. They're in the car together about to go get a bite to eat after the show. I would be devastated, too. You thought they hated each other, and here they are. Someone's calling this a top 5 Grum segment, which that says a lot about the previous segments, right? I don't know if I'd call it top 5, but people are, wrestling's big, Tennessee. There are people that have all sorts of wrestling stories. Bringing up some of the names of the past. This guy says Dick the Bruiser played football for the Green Bay Packers. Now, I did not know that. I didn't know that. Dick Slater was Dick the Bruiser. No, he was Dirty Dick Slater. He was a different guy. Dick the Bruiser. I don't believe he played pro football. Dick the Bruiser. Says he played for it. He died in 1991. He was drafted. It says it right here, Tennessee. Professional wrestler, promoter, NFL player, better known by his ring name Dick the Bruiser. During the NFL days, he played 4 seasons with the Green Bay Packers. So football player, wrestler, you know what? You have gun will travel, man. Whatever it is you want me to do. You know, when you drive in the Bronx, I'll drive anywhere, anytime. Harlem, Manhattan, wherever, you name it. That's what the taxi driver said he'd do. We'll take a break. Our final segment of the show. Got a couple of hockey questions I want to bounce off of you, and getting a number of text messages. People, some of the talkbacks were basketball related. I don't know. I'm kind of basketballed up, and maybe we'll play a couple of those as well here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
The Common Man.
No offense. I just think that sports are stupid, and anyone who likes them is just...
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This sounds like a hockey goal celebration song to me. Doesn't it have a little bit of that feel to it? What's the name of this tune?
It's called... I'm not sure how much of this is part of the name or not. We'll just say, let's go 165.
You heard the promo NHL conference final action on the Fan. Tonight, Game 1, Western Conference Finals, Vegas against Colorado. Lance defenseman Cale Makar out, upper body injury.
Yeah.
Coach Jared Bednar announced after the morning skate that Makar was out and called the standout blue liner day today. He said, I think he's doing a lot better. He's on the ice again this morning, feeling pretty good. He left the ice holding his right arm following a collision late in Game 5 against Minnesota last Wednesday, but returned as Colorado won the game in overtime. He also briefly left Game 1 after taking a hit along the boards with his right leg flying into the air before he fell into the ice. Best defenseman in hockey?
Yeah.
It's a blow not to have in the game, obviously, but will it matter against Las Vegas? We already talked about with the way they set up the playoff schedule, you know, the one versus, you know, they got the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. I still don't follow what they've done, but the three best teams in the West, I think most people would argue were Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. And is Vegas, I mean, they must be quality, right? They're in the finals, but how good are they?
You know, Vegas, I mean, they've won a cup. They've basically been in this spot many times. I know not the exact roster is the same, but a good chunk of that roster has the experience. So they had they were considered a cup contender going into the season. I think had what many would consider a disappointing regular season, even though they ended up with the 1 seed, or at least on their side of their division, they were the top team. What they have going for them in this series specifically that the Wild did not is Colorado is good up the middle with Nathan McKinnon, Brock Nelson, Nazem Kadri. The Wild, especially without Joel Eriksson Ek, even if they had Joel Eriksson Ek, can't match up with Colorado in that regard. Vegas is also good up the middle. So you got Jack Eichel, William Karlsson, Thomas Hertl. So they got 3 centers they can throw out there that are pretty rock solid. So Colorado's not going to have the same advantage in that spot that they had over the Minnesota Wild. Now Vegas throughout the season, the reason they didn't have as good of a regular season has mostly been just goaltending. Their forwards and defensemen are definitely good enough to be cup contenders. They haven't gotten the goaltending. We'll see. They've been able to survive at least through 2 series. It hasn't gone awry for them too much. But we'll see how that holds up against Colorado. But to what you just mentioned, no Cale Makar. It does get you to wonder. Well, one, do we even know what injury this is? Because he did have 2 different injuries in that Wild series.
Yeah, it says upper body.
Yeah. It looked like he may have hurt maybe his hip in Game 1 against the Wild. And then he clearly had a shoulder injury that was bothering him as that series went along, and specifically in Game 5, where he did have to leave the ice for a little bit. Like he barely got hit on one and had to get off the ice. So you do wonder if the Wild hadn't blown that 3-0 lead, what Cale Makar's status would have been the rest of the series, right? Like, would he have played because it was, is he sitting out tonight just because it's a game one?
Right.
Or is he sitting out because that was the timeline he would have had to set out? And what if the Wild would have had games 6 and 7 without Cale Makar out there? Colorado still, they had stretches in the series where they didn't have Makar, at least for moments within individual games, and they still weren't bothered by it. And they still have, Toes back there on the blue line who's pretty darn good and can eat up some minutes. But yeah, he did skate today, so it doesn't sound like it's going to be long term. But if they have to go multiple games or the entire series without Cale Makar, that can even things up in this series. Otherwise, I would give the edge, obviously, to Colorado.
Is he going to win the Norris Trophy?
I forgot who even the nominees were for that this year. I know
Dahlin and Werenski.
Yeah, I know Quinn Hughes was not nominated.
Hughes was last year in 2025.
Yeah. Werenski, I think, might be one of the most overrated players in all of the National Hockey League. Yeah, we saw him. He was the one who made on the gold medal game-winning play for Team USA, the one that Jack Hughes scored on. Werenski was the one who beat McKinnon to the puck, out-muscled him for the puck, spun around and passed it over to Jack Hughes. It's a big-time play by Werenski. He had a great season. Dahlin, young kid who's just been getting better and better. So it's hard to argue. I would still go Cale Makar, but
he won the award, it looks like, in 2022, was a nominee in 2023, was a nominee in 2024 when Quinn Hughes won it in 2025. Quinn Hughes was also nominated in 2025, and then Makar nominated again. It's like seems like every year you put his name into that list. What's our other? It's the Habs eliminated Buffalo. Who do they have?
They take on Carolina tomorrow night, and Carolina's coming off of 12 days of rest now. Because you could argue the Wild got punished by this as well. The way the NHL scheduled the second round strictly for television, I mean, the Carolina second round series started when there were still multiple games to go in the Montreal series. And then the Montreal-Buffalo series had to get pushed back. And then that thing went 7. So Carolina has swept both of their opponents. And we've talked about rest or rust before. This is the ultimate rest or rust because I don't know if a team's ever sat for 12 days before having to play a playoff game. But they should be healthy, and Montreal should be tired.
Tuckered.
Yeah.
As we like to say. It was announced earlier today that Aaron Rodgers said this is it. He is playing his last National Football League season. And that's the only... No, he did. Here it says, I thought that was the only quote we had. All I saw, until I go deeper into the story, this is it. When asked if this would be his final year, he said, it's like a bunch of pinch me moments that have happened in the last few days following the second day of Pittsburgh's voluntary organized team activities. So, yeah, and that's all he's really said about it is this is it. I guess, more later. And I asked you, I think earlier in the Grum, Pittsburgh will be a team that will. I mean, they'll be in the fight for a playoff spot, right? They were there last year. We talked about how they a listener reminded us that they got drilled by Houston in the playoffs, but it seems like this is one of those where not often do guys get to write their own exit that's successful. Like Brady won it. The big game at Tampa Bay and then retired, right? His last game was winning the championship. He didn't come back.
No, I thought he came back.
Did he come back?
Yeah, I thought they had a mediocre season when he left.
Oh, I thought he left. Who was it that left? There have been guys that have left on their own. Somebody did. Elway did, didn't he?
Elway left on top.
And did Manning leave on top too?
He may have as well.
I think he did. I think it really wasn't because of him. That Denver won, but I think it was more because...
Yeah, Brady's final season, they were 8-9.
Oh. See, he should have left while he was on top.
Well, it didn't really affect his legacy, so I think he'll be okay.
Still, it's nice leaving on top, walking away with it. Should have left when he was on top. Should have thrown that Super Bowl trophy right into the water.
New England shouldn't have let him go.
Well, yeah, but now I just saw a story. Let me see if I can find it again. I didn't take a deep dive into it, but it's Belichick basically saying he picked the right time to leave. He says, here it is right here. Tom leaving was absolutely the right thing for him to do. We didn't have a good team in 2020. We just didn't have a good football team. We had all those guys that left. Gronk, Edelman, most of our team was gone. McCourty and a few others were still there. They were about to go too. We were just at the end. And honestly, I was happy for him that things worked out well for him in Tampa because he was with a team and then he went on and won. That made me happy for him because, Tom, it wouldn't have gone well in 2020 New England. On this, I can guarantee that. Belichick said the Patriots put everything we had into the 2019 season, which ended prematurely in the wild card round. It says, where else did he say? He said, with Brady gone, the Pats signed former MVP Cam Newton. New England bounced back in 2021 thanks to Mac Jones, 10-7. New England finished 8-9, followed by disastrous 4-13. That's when Belichick and the Patriots mutually agreed to part ways. But obviously, his leaving turned out a lot better than Belichick's. Here's what else Belichick said. He goes, I learned so much from Tom. I never played quarterback. Tom saw the game through a quarterback's eyes. I saw the game through a coach's eyes. Together, I think we both learned a lot from each other. Tom, how defensive coaches looked at him or looked at offense. Me, on what a quarterback can do and what he can't do. What's hard, what's easy, what I can see, what I can't see, and how you see the game. So, yeah, sometimes you have to leave, you have to get out while the getting's still good. And I think he's spot on. And, sometimes a quarterback of Brady's ilk can carry a mediocre team. Belichick says they really had nothing going into that year. They lost a lot of players. And he's right. He knows the roster better than we do. But sometimes even a quarterback, a team that's, they're maybe not as strong as they once were. If they can get good quarterback play, sometimes they can do it. But and then Brady hit the mother lode with his. What was that contract he signed with Fox? 357 is Fox he's with, right? Or is it CBS?
He's a Fox guy.
I think it's $357 million or something like that. Just
10-year, $375 million. Which exceeded his entire 23-year NFL career salary.
There's money in the broadcast booth. There's no question about that.
In the football broadcast booth.
Well, in the football broadcast booth. There's no question about that. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. When Guerin was on the other day in their news conference, what I like about Bill, and I've never met Bill. I don't know him personally, but what I like is, are there some things he keeps to himself about the organization? I'm sure, but he always seems like he's kind of an open book, right? Mm-hmm. You ask him a question, he doesn't usually. It doesn't seem like he's tap dancing around an answer. He'll call it as it is. And what I really like when he said. It was funny with his give and take with Russo. It was that we aired it on the radio station. It was kind of the end of the season interviews, and both Guerin and John Hines were there, and Russo was there.
And he was on with Russo today.
Was he?
In place, at 9 to noon.
Yeah.
You can podcast it right now.
And Johnny Krasinski was in it apparently too on the Paul Allen project today without Paul Allen. And I liked where Russo. He used the word seething, and Guerin kind of had fun of that seething. Yeah, he wasn't, and then he mentioned the game that he was really disappointed with was the home game. He obviously was disappointed when they had the 3-0 lead. And, again, there's a fine line between when you're up. We joke all the time about the 2-goal lead, and hockey's the most dangerous. And the dangerous part of it is we give Gorg a hard time. I know what Gorg was getting at when he said keep the game scoreless. You don't miss an open net if you have an opportunity. But the theory goes, if a team falls behind 2-0, well, then all of a sudden they're going to amp up their effort, and they might even start taking, more chance. Sometimes taking riskier chances gives you a better opportunity to score. But they sat on a 3-0 lead, and we saw that it became 3-1 at the end of 2, and then all of a sudden they gave up 2 goals within the last, 4 minutes of the game, including the game tying goal that sent it to OT was a empty net. I mean, they had pulled the goaltender. It was a minute 23, I think, when they scored, minute 13, something like that, and they went on to win in overtime. But, he admitted what the team's weaknesses are and what the team needs to do to address them, and sometimes you don't hear that from the Wild, and from any coach, not the Wild, from any general manager or any coach. And you spelled it out pretty well, and I think he did also. They need a top-line center. They're not growing on trees, right? They're just not laying around. So I don't know how you address that unless, I don't know, you tell me. On social media within the last hour, there's a clip going viral of Eric Johnson, who is he's actually one of us. He's from Bloomington. He is now an NHL television analyst.
Okay. He was on TV just a little while ago.
Yeah, he was on. That's where the hot take came from. That's now going viral because he was on with McAfee today.
Right.
And I could play the audio for you. I know they're swearing at some point that I don't want to. I don't want. But he basically said, "Here's a hot take for you. I think Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews will be on the Minnesota Wild in the next 3 years."
Oh my gosh! And then he did he do a mic drop at that point? Not delve deeper into why he thought that.
I mean, Austin Matthews' name has been thrown around a lot. He's kind of maybe run its course in Toronto. They've never gotten over the hump there in the playoffs. He's also an American captain, which they're a little bit harder on up there. Their team is bad this season. They're going to end up with the number 1 overall pick. He might just say, "Hey, it's time for me to go," and it would make sense for him to come here. Because he does have connections he played on the USA Olympic team with Quinn Hughes and Boldy and Faber, and Bill Guerin was a GM, and he'd get back into the old USA. He would, obviously, it's a team that is in desperate need of a number 1 center. So that one makes a lot of sense, and this would be the offseason. I haven't heard McDavid to Minnesota's name thrown out. And McDavid still has 2 years left to go. So, how long are you willing to wait, and what are realistic? What are the chances that McDavid would ever be available to come here? Right? I mean, he's played his entire career in Edmonton. If they have a good year next year, he might say, "Hey, I think we can win here. I'm going to sign long term." But it sure would be nice to have money available and the assets available if Connor McDavid were ever to hit the open market.
Well,
and you know what? We're about a year away from that happening.
This is.
What do you think of Connor McDavid?
I think Connor McDavid
is overrated.
Here's what I will say. This is something I think that gets stuck in Minnesota sports fans' craw, where it doesn't seem like very often, anyways. You have to tell me what player that would be. The free agent that picks Minnesota, whatever the sport, where it says, not just a free agent that's like run of the mill. I'm talking about Connor McDavid. Let's say he becomes a free agent and he signs here. It's like, that just doesn't happen here. And so even to hear that we got Hughes and that there's a possibility, or at least this hot take from the Johnson, he said his name is
Eric Johnson, yeah.
Eric Johnson, that, his hot take is McDavid or Matthews could end up being here. That's just, those are the kind of things where you go, really? That's strange, because that just, it's almost hard to believe because it just never happens here. Generally, if we get a free agent, he's more than likely, Yeah, he's nice, good player, nice fit, might serve a role, but he's not like, whoa, he's game-changing, one of the best player in the league kind of players. Anytime we get a guy like we got Gobert, who's defensive player of the year 4 times, we have to trade a boatload to get him. It's not like, we got Ant in a draft and Peterson in a draft. When you draft a guy, that's a whole other thing. But to get guys via free agency, at least, the elite players, that'd be a change, right? Because we just don't see it here. Until it happens, I'm not going to believe it anyway.
That's why I laugh when you throw out the names like Austin Matthews. I get a lot of comments on social of, we don't have the assets, and basically like kind of the mentality you just had of, that doesn't happen to us. It did just happen to us last year with Quinn Hughes.
It did.
And Bill Guerin has shown he's coming up swinging. He ain't taking the first pitch. He's not trying to draw a walk. He's not sacrificed bunting. He's not hitting a single to the opposite field. He's trying to hit home runs.
And Connolly does the same thing with the Wolves.
Yes.
He does. He, again, whether you like the moves he made.
Well, both of them, right? I mean, we're hearing Giannis rumors on one side. Right. You're hearing Austin Matthews, and apparently now we're going to start Connor McDavid rumors on the other side. To have both teams in the mix for the biggest of the bigs in their respective sports, it's kind of surreal.
Well, and it happened one other time in baseball, Ohtani, but then we decided there was no room for him and he wasn't really
really be a a good fit here.
He wouldn't be a good fit here, and that kind
Should I say that about McDavid?
Yes.
I don't know if Connor McDavid would be a good fit here.
I just don't know if he would be. Yeah. He just, best player in the league, just wouldn't be a fit here. So.
I mean, where does he fit on our power play?
Yeah.
Is he going to be on there instead of Boldy or Kaprizov?
Well, there you go.
We already have Erickson. We already have our forwards on the power play.
I think what we need to do right now is we need to be forward thinking and call McDavid's representation out and say, don't even bother. We're not interested. I mean, if you really want to come here, no chance. We're not going to take it. So we'll see. I like hot takes from Eric Johnson, you say?
Eric Johnson.
Former Bloomington guy. How long did he play in the league?
Former golfer as well.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, he was in the league for a while.
Sweet.
Okay. Yeah, he was a number 1 overall pick.
Well, he's plugged in. He knows the league. And if you're on with McAfee, you're plugged in, I guess. So maybe it'll happen. We'll have to find out.